So how did this turn into this? So I saw this interview with Jeff Beck years and years ago, and he said something that really stuck with me. I wish I could find the video, but he basically said something along the lines of a simple touch of the guitar, or even when you just pick it up while it's plugged into an amp, can spark many ideas. We've all had those instances, I can't say that word. We've all had those instances where we've immediately connected with an idea that we really, really like, but most of the time that doesn't happen very quickly, but we will take it when we get it. Maybe like 90% of the time, it takes a good amount of work with the guitar in a single sit down to come up with something that you even sort of like, that's different or piques your interest. When you sit down to play or write, sometimes the ideas just won't come to you right away, and you just need to work them out and let things flow, and that will lead you into some of your best ideas. So if you're just trying to write better songs, better riffs, better licks, you can take this approach or idea and implement it into your own playing that you will only greatly benefit from. Now, there really is no one secret. That's just sort of a buzzword that I use. I'd actually really love to hear some of your practices and workflows that help give you the best creative outcome. So whatever that is, let me know in the comments. Now, really quick, I'm gonna break down and show you how I went from noodling around to coming up with something completely out of left field that's a much more calmer and ambient. All right, so I sat down and I was kind of just noodling around like I normally do, kind of working on my hybrid picking stuff. So like the stuff like that. And then I was kind of doing these little like runs. I did this little slide and I accidentally hit the open B string as I was doing it, so I did something like this. I was like, okay. And then I kind of just threw my fingers around this B minor pentatonic position, so I was pretty much here. Kind of fiddling around with that. But then I hit that open G string. So I was kind of getting this pretty little dissonant kind of thing. But what really set the whole thing was when I went from that. I kind of slowed down once I got up here because I wasn't calling for anything fast. Then I completely got rid of the pick and sort of just... Now I wanted like sort of a 2-chord kind of thing, so then I found myself here. I was also sort of doing stuff like but then, like I said, this whole thing led me to this. I'm not saying this is the best idea in the entire world. It's just interesting to see that where you start is you're going to end up nowhere near that sometimes. And that's okay. Just sort of let things flow. I sort of even scratched the whole thing and came up with a little like synthy-esque beat that sort of sounds like this. Now, who knows what will come of that, if anything at all. But what I do know is when I was in the midst of all this and working it all out, I was really just enjoying the creative process. And this is what leads me into tip number 1. Sometimes it's best to let things flow and try not to force anything. Just keep at it and assess later. I think there's some saying, or I don't know if it's a saying or not, but it says, don't critique as you write. Now, you can definitely alter a few things just to sort of get dialed in with your sound and, you know, the overall idea, but I wouldn't focus super hard on those things like the mix and all that. You could hate or not be super into one idea as you're writing it, and then the next day you love it. Or even vice versa. You love an idea, and the next day you listen to it, you're like, what was I even thinking? You'll never really know until you assess later. But definitely keep working out ideas and see where you end up, because it could be one of your favorite things you've ever written. So there's this term, and I'm sure you've heard of it, called happy accidents. Basically, it's just you make a mistake, whether that's through the mixing process, you're producing it, you're writing, recording it, whatever, and that mistake ends up working out so great. And this can completely alter the entire idea into the best thing possible. It could be something very, very small or very big. Now this brings me into the second tip, but happy accidents are more likely to happen more often when you put in the work almost every single day. Sometimes, and I'm super guilty of this, but we want to play, we want to write, we want to record, but we don't feel like getting off the couch and stop scrolling Instagram or watching TV or whatever. Every single time that I've been in that situation and forced myself to sort of sit down and just do it, I've always felt some sort of reward, especially when you get like 20 minutes plus in, because you just get yourself more into the groove. There's a couple of books that talks about this topic that was written by Stephen Pressfield. He has a few different ones, but the two that stuck out to me, it was called Do the Work and The War of Art. I think they're actually right here. They basically talk about the struggles of resistance in doing what you love, self-doubt, criticism, and basically just helping you get out of your own way. I'm not gonna dive deep into them in this video, but if you're just any type of creative person, doesn't even have to be guitar, they're super helpful. Now I'm gonna jump right into the last tip, and it's completely different from the other two I just mentioned. Those were mainly mental and sort of help you just get dialed into your inner creativeness. And this tip I've learned the hard way so many times, but it's record every single idea that you even sort of like. There's been so many times where I come up with something I really, really like, and I'm like, oh no, I'll remember it. I'll just, record it tomorrow. I'll do whatever tomorrow. And I just forget all about it. Feeling of losing something that you thought had a lot of potential is just awful. But it's way better to just record it and then listen back saying, yeah, that ain't it, than to have regret of what could have possibly been. And even if you do listen back and you don't like it, that could change in a few days. Because at one point, you did like it. You just sort of have to find your way back there, even if it takes time. And this is sort of where we start getting back into the first couple of tips of just putting in the time and work and letting things happen. Now, like I said earlier, there really is no one secret that can help you with this. But there certainly are many, many things you can do to improve your writing and just enjoy the overall creative process as a whole. And when you mix all these different things together and different ideas, you'll be golden. For example, there's so many external factors that can help you with creating, like owning guitar pedals and different effects that can inspire you to come up with other ideas. Playing with different musicians, listening to a new genre of music, it just goes on and on. Whatever works for you and your workflow, you should always keep doing, but also just being open to newer ideas can take you down a whole other creative path. Now, if you want to check out some other videos, you can check them out around here somewhere. I do sort of tips and tricks like this, lessons, a lot of gear demos, so go check it out. I hope this video was helpful to you. Let me know what your thoughts are about these tips and overall ideas, and thanks as always for watching, and I will see you in the next video.